So we're going to get started today seated, having some height under our glutes. And that can be, I've got a couple of blocks, it can be a couple of pillows, a couple of cushions. And just taking a moment to find a comfortable seated position. If we haven't done much yoga over the last week, we may just feel a little bit stiffer than usual. Maybe seated cross-legged. You're really welcome to come to a kneeling position with some height under the glutes. That can feel really supportive as well. But finding your most comfortable position. And just taking a moment to make any adjustments you need to. Gently rolling the shoulders up, back and down. A sense of lifting, of rising from the glutes, from the sitting bones all the way to the crown of the head. The hands can rest wherever feels most comfortable for you. And softening the gaze or maybe closing the eyes. And just taking a moment to notice how you're feeling, how you're doing this morning. Without any self-criticism or judgment, just almost like a body scan. How's the body feeling? How's the mind? This morning we're going to be doing a cooling practice. So the main focus is hot flushes, irritability, rage. And if, like me, I've overindulged over the last few days, treated myself to a few extra sugary snacks and a few more glasses of wine. That can take its toll, particularly through perimenopause and menopause. We know one of the many triggers of hot flushes, irritability is sugar, caffeine. But just knowing it's okay to treat ourselves when we want to, when we feel we're able to, but also to have the tools to help us face, cope, or even support any symptoms that arise. Maintaining length through the spine, softness in the shoulders. And beginning to breathe in and out through the nose if that's possible this morning. Following the flow of the inhalation and the exhalation. And beginning to encourage the belly to rise as we inhale and draw back as we exhale. And if it helps to use the hands to connect with the belly, sense of touch to direct the breath. Placing the hands on the abdomen. Breathing in to encourage an expansion, a rise of the belly. And breathing out to draw the navel towards the spine, a gentle movement, a gentle drawing back. Notice the breath is coming easily or it feels a little restricted. Sense of encouraging a full breath to nurture the body and the mind. The hands are on the belly, gently releasing the hands, allowing them to rest in the lap or on the knees. Maintaining the full, complete breath you've been nurturing in any form it's taking this morning. Maybe the eyes remain closed as we work through the head, the neck, even the shoulders. Gently taking the right ear towards the right shoulder. Mindful that it's a morning practice, and actually here in Edinburgh it's snowing, so it's cold. We're being gentle, warming up the body this morning. On the next inhalation, gently bring the head back to center and encouraging the left ear towards the left shoulder. Maybe noticing a difference between the two sides. Being mindful of that difference. Maybe it's a slightly softer, gentler movement on one side over the other. Always nurturing, always supporting ourselves as we come through the movement. On the next inhalation, gently bring the head back up to center, and we're going to bring the neck into a twist. And you're welcome to keep the eyes closed at this point. We're taking our head, if our eyes are open, we'd be gazing over the right shoulder. And taking the head, the neck as far as feels comfortable for you. So you may be able to turn a little further through the spine, through the neck, the cervical spine. Listening to the body this morning. And as we breathe in, we'll come back to center and take our gaze over the left shoulder, maybe a little further. And gently bring the head once again back to center, dropping the chin towards the chest. The eyes are closed, gently opening them here. Keeping the chin towards the chest. And breathing in to bring the head back up to center one last time. If the legs are crossed, you may want to change the cross of the legs. And we're going to come into just a very gentle side stretch. So taking the right hand down towards the floor, the mat beside you. It can be fingertips, full hand, whatever feels best for you. And a side bend. So I'm leaning over towards the right hand side. The hand can stay in the lap, come to the side of the body, and maybe you reach all the way over. Listening to shoulders, Got a sore right shoulder at the moment. Fluctuating estrogen levels. So just being aware of anything that's going on in shoulders, elbows, wrists. We're keeping the sitting bones grounded. Finding a lateral stretch, you're finding some space down the side of the body. Inhaling to come up and then moving over to the left hand side and taking a moment to place the hand down, fingertips or hand, lean over. Just find out what's going on in the hip, the side of the body, and then maybe reaching over with the right hand, and always having a softness in the elbow here. Breathing in to slowly come back up to center. We're actually going to come to lying down, so removing any support out the way. And having your belt to hand. If you want a cushion or something under the head, that can feel quite nice, quite supportive. And we're coming to a semi-supine position. So lying on our backs, knees bent. And just take a moment to place your feet. Notice where it feels most comfortable this morning for the feet. Maybe it's a little bit further away than usual, a little bit wider. Hands can come to belly or lie, rest on the floor beside you. And just take a moment there. Notice how that feels. And we're going to draw the right knee in for a hug. Gently drawing the right knee in, allowing the knee to settle, and then drawing it in a little bit further. Maybe you draw the knee towards the right armpit. Maybe beginning to make some movement through the right foot. Pointing, flexing, circular movement. Whatever feels good this morning. You may even want to spread the toes a little as well. We're going to keep the right hand on the right knee. We'll have the left hand down beside us on the floor and taking the right knee out towards the right hand side. Aiming to keep the hips and the pelvis level. Starting to gently release any tightness around the hips, the inner thighs. So we tend to find the bigger muscle groups, things like the glutes as well. The quads at the front of the thighs. They can be quite tight, they're bigger muscles, we use them a lot. And also store a little bit of tension there. Gently releasing into these areas to release heat, fear, anger. Gently bringing that right knee back into center, dropping the right knee, placing the right foot back down, and work onto the left-hand side. So drawing the left knee in. Taking that gentle movement to begin with, just to feel what's going on the left-hand side of the body this morning. And then maybe drawing the left knee in a little bit further. So bringing the left knee in towards the left armpit. And knowing if at any point it feels a little too strong, you feel you've gone too far, you can just ease off. So just a chance to work out what's happening in the body. Bodies can feel so different each day. And then we'll move the right hand towards the floor beside us to support us as we bring the left knee out, just a little towards the left-hand side. So still keeping the hips, the pelvis grounded. Just finding a little bit of space here on the left-hand side. And slowly bringing the left knee back to center. Releasing the left foot. Oh, I forgot to move the left foot. I'm not sure if you've moved the left foot. We'll bring the left knee in. There's always something I forget. Just briefly to bring some movement to the left foot. Maybe making a couple of circles. Spreading the left toes. And then allowing the left foot back down to center. We're going to come into reclined pigeon. This is where we bring the outside of the right ankle. It's going to rest on the front of the left thigh. And we're going to not use our hands. So the hands are going to be down the side of the body. And we're going to gently draw in the core muscles, just gently, a gentle drawing in. Thinking about the pelvic floor, transverse abdominals. So it feels like we're almost trying to pull our hip bones together to support the lower back, and then lifting the left foot off the ground. So with the hands down, we're creating that space at the front of the chest for the breath. And also keeping it gentle this morning. So if we involve our hands, we tend to make it a little bit stronger. And with the morning practice, we just want to wake up the glutes. You may be able to encourage the right knee away from you a little further, the left knee in towards you, to strengthen the stretch. And gently releasing the left foot back down towards the mat. And then the right, and we'll move on to the other side. So the outside of the left leg onto the front of the right thigh. Thinking about the abdominal muscles to support the lower back, the lumbar spine, and gently drawing the right knee in. And then maybe you're able to encourage the left knee away from the body a little and the right knee in towards the body. And on the next exhalation, allowing that to release, right foot comes back down, left foot as well. This is where we're going to take hold of our belt or strap, whatever you're using this morning. And we're going to place it around the ball of the right foot to begin with. And just take a moment to find where feels most comfortable to hold the belt. You can hold it up towards the foot. Maybe if it's long enough, you're able to have the elbows on the floor and hold it a little bit further down. It's really up to you what feels best for your body. We've got a bend in the right knee to begin with. We're reaching the right heel up towards the sky. And then from here, maybe you begin to straighten the leg a little. So whether you've got a strong bend in the knee or the knee's straight, we can still find space in the back of the leg by reaching through the heel and then engaging the base of the big toe. So making sure the base of the big toe is active, gently pushing that base into the belt, into the strap. And maybe you start with a bent knee and you slowly straighten the leg. It's a gentle lengthening through the back of the leg. Breathing, following the breath. And if there's a lot of tightness, knowing that you can bend the knee and then straighten it. Bend the knee and then straighten it. And just bringing some length to the back of the leg, gently, slowly, almost dynamically. I'm always amazed after a few days of not doing very much yoga, how tight my hamstrings become. We're going to take both sides of the belt in the right hand. Place the left hand down beside us to support our bodies. We're turning the right toes out towards the right hand side and then allowing the right foot to move out towards the right hand side. And this is where the left knee can gently roll out towards the left hand side as a counterbalance, but then we're also working into the hips and the groin area again. So there's an external rotation of the right foot, so really thinking about turning the right toes out towards the right hand side. And maybe if it's more supportive and you've got a long enough strap, you can have the elbow on the floor to support the arm, the right shoulder. Still reaching through the heel. And on the next inhalation, bringing the right foot back up to center and the right knee. Changing the grips, the left hand's coming towards the belt strap, right hand coming down towards the floor. There can be a bend in the knee, maybe the leg straight, just making sure the leg still feels okay up in the air. And then gently taking the right leg across the body towards the left hand side. We're still reaching through the heel. So even if with a bent knee, if the IT band's particularly tight this morning, I'm going to have a bend in the knee, but still reaching through the heel to find that extra space through the side, the back of the leg. Trying to keep the shoulders soft, still engaging the base of the big toe. And as we breathe in, bringing the right foot back up to center, bending into the knee, releasing the leg, and maybe straightening the right leg out along the mat. Just feeling the lightness, the softness we've brought to that side of the body or that leg. And then we'll draw the right foot back in towards the floor, into our semi-supine position, and work through the left-hand side. So bringing the strap of the belt to the ball of the left foot, and then just take a moment to find your hand position that works for you on this side. It might well be different to the right. And beginning to reach through the left heel. Encouraging a bend in the knee to begin with, just so you can take a moment to see or feel how the left leg is this morning. And as you begin to bring a bit more length, maybe you begin to straighten the leg a little bit more. If it's quite strong, it feels too strong, gently releasing and bringing that slightly dynamic movement into this position. So a gentle bend and gentle stretching. Or maybe you prefer to have a static version of this shape. Engaging the base of the big toe, so really thinking about the base of the big toe pushing into the strap of the belt. Shoulders are soft. From here, we're going to take our leg out towards the left-hand side. So we're taking the belt in the left hand, the right hand comes down towards the mat to support us, turning the left toes out towards the left-hand side. So it's almost like a diagonal shape there. And then taking the left foot out towards the left-hand side. And this is where we can use the right knee as a counterbalance if we want to. So the right knee can fall towards the right-hand side. Softening the shoulders, maybe the elbow can rest on the floor, if that helps with any shoulder issues. Still reaching through the left heel. On the next inhalation, bring the legs back to center, changing the grip, right hand coming towards the belt, left hand down towards the mat, And taking the right foot across the body. And again, knowing you can have a bend in the knee, still reaching through the heel to find some space in the IT band. Hips, pelvis, grounded. On the next inhalation, bringing the left foot back up to center, bending the knee, unhooking the belt, and extending the left leg out for a moment. Again, feel that sense of length, lightness, maybe even softness as well. And we'll draw the right and the left knees in for a hug. Apadasana, you may want to draw them in as a sort of hugging motion, squashing the belly and then gently letting them go, beginning to massage the digestive system, but also quite nurturing for the lower back if this feels good. And then you're welcome to bring the knees apart and keep the big toes together. So again, working into the hips here. If you would like to practice full happy baby, you're welcome to bring the hands to the inside or the outside of the feet, whatever feels most comfortable for your body, your shoulders. Drawing the feet towards, almost towards the body, towards the chest, knees coming towards the armpits. If at any point this feels uncomfortable or too strong, coming back to the gently holding the knees apart. One more breath here. Gently releasing the feet. And we're going to take our time to roll up to sitting. We're going to bring some movement to the knees. So knees are as wide as almost as wide as the mat on my knees and my feet are. And I want my hands under my knees to encourage that lift again through the spine and the chest. So I'm sitting very much upright. And then from here, maybe take the hands, fingertips, soft fists a little behind you. We're going to rotate the knees from one side to the other. So bringing some movement to the hips, the hip sockets. You're really welcome to lift the hands off the mat, off the floor. Thinking about engaging the core a little here to support the back. And come into the movement without using the hands. If it doesn't feel steady, bring the hands back down towards the floor. A little bit of somatic movement. You may even find you're moving forward slightly. And if you have shuffled forwards, are you able to encourage the body to shuffle back? Taking one more movement on either side. And coming back into stillness. We'll come up to standing slowly, taking our time, supporting our body to come up to standing. And finding a comfortable, stable position. We're going to come into standing cat-cow. So you may find you want your feet about hip distance or a little bit wider, just maybe feels a bit more stable as we come into movement through the spine. Making sure the feet are parallel, softness in the knees, and then finding our length again through the spine. So maybe rolling the shoulders up, back and down. I know I'd stick my chin out a little, so maybe tucking the chin just a little. Or have the hands feeling quite heavy, loose, relaxed by the sides of the body. As we breathe in, the palms are facing away from us. Taking the gaze upwards a little and being mindful not to throw the head or the neck back. And then as we breathe out, we're curling the shoulder blades around, palms facing behind us, tucking the chin, maybe taking the gaze towards the floor. So we're coming into that cat-cow movement we often do on all fours. We're doing this standing, breathing in to look up, palms facing up towards the sky and away from us. Breathing out to curl the spine round, palms facing behind us. And you can make this a very small movement, or maybe you feel you want to exaggerate it a little bit more. The hands can come further away from the body, bend into the knees a little bit more. Maybe as you come up, opening the chest. So breathing in to look upwards, open the chest, and breathing out to curl around. Making the movement work for your body this morning. You may find you want to work into the shoulders a little bit more. You may feel the whole of the spine needs a little bit of space and nurturing. Taking one more movement or one more round. And slowly taking a moment to stand in stillness. Before we come into a flow, we're going to come into a lateral stretch, side stretch, standing. So we've stretched off from our feet all the way through our body already, with a lot of the supine lying down positions. Still have a softness in the knees, a little bit of a gap between the feet, making sure the feet are parallel. And then we'll very gently reach over towards the right hand side. If the shoulders, I should say, if the right shoulder is a little bit tight, you can have the hand on the shoulder, or even just allow the hand to rest by the side of the body. Few options there, and coming as far as you feel you want to get a sense of space being created from the hips all the way up towards the shoulders. Always keeping the softness in the knees, openness in the chest, breathing here. On the next inhalation, slowly coming back to center, releasing the left hand and moving gently over and into the right, sorry, the left. Right hand coming up and over. If you get there, feels too strong, maybe you drop the arm. Still being able to find a bit of space down the right hand side. Softness in the knees. And breathing in to come back up to center. Take any movement that feels good, maybe a little bit of a wiggle of the knees, the shoulders. We're going to come into a gentle flow. So finding space at the top of the mat, so we can step back. And the feet can be together or hip distance apart, whatever feels right for you this morning. Always having a softness in the knees, finding our stable starting position, mountain. Fingertips reaching towards the floor, gently, softness in the knees, length through the spine to the crown of the head, and maybe you take a moment to lift the toes. Noticing the engagement of the points of the feet, the soles of the feet with the ground, with the mat. And then gently spreading the toes and placing them back down. And trying to keep that engagement through the feet if you can. Or breathe in and reach up. Maybe the gaze follows the hands, breathing out, folding forwards, leading with the heart. And bending the knees as much as you need to. First forward fold of the morning. We're going to take a few breaths here, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Although we've lengthened and found space in the legs using our belt or straps. It's a very different feeling, a different shape we make with the bodies in a standing forward fold. Encouraging the weight, the body weight to be even through both feet. On the next inhalation, bringing the hands, the shins, shoulders away from ears, we're coming into a flat back. Breathing out, folding forwards. And a reminder that as we come into forward folds, sometimes this can trigger hot flashes. If it does, just coming a little higher up so the heart isn't lower than the hips, the head isn't lower than that. The head isn't lower than the heart. From here, we're going to step back with the right foot and drop the right knee, so into our lunge position. Taking a moment to make sure the left knee is over the left ankle. And if you want to work into the right hip a little bit more, tucking the right toes, lifting the right knee and shuffling it back a little further. And deepen the stretch, just making sure that feels okay if you have made that maneuver, that change. And then we'll breathe in to sweep the arms up. Shoulders soften, maybe the gaze goes up towards the sky if the neck, the lower back are happy. On the next exhalation, folding forwards, bringing the hands or the fingertips towards the floor. We're going to heel toe the left foot out towards the left hand side. Fingertips coming through center, maybe hands. Again, if this feels too strong, we can have some height under the hands and bring the floor a little higher up. So you may already notice the feeling, sensations in the left hip. Trying to keep the left knee over the left ankle at the moment. And then maybe if you have the flexibility and you want a little more, you bring the hands forwards. Again, being mindful it's a morning practice. Though we've warmed the body up, brought movement to the body. Being gentle. And our first lizard on this side. On the next inhalation, coming back to center, finding your way to center with the left foot heel toeing back in. And we're going to step back into a plank. So take your time, either on knees or toes, coming into a plank position. Hands are under shoulders, and we're going to think about the rotation in the arms to keep the shoulders safe, strong. So we want the weight to be even over the hands. Even from the thumb to the little finger. Inner elbows are facing each other, shoulders are away from the ears. Gaze is towards the floor. And then gently drop into the knees if you're not there already, chest and chin. And we're coming into Sphinx this morning. So our elbows come under shoulders. If the lower back, if this feels too strong for the lower back, just shuffling the knees and elbows. I'm always getting them mixed up. Shuffling the elbows forwards a little more. That's going to soften the back bend. Once you've found the hand position and elbow position, encouraging the forearms to be parallel, shoulders drawing away from the ears, lift through the chest. And we'll come into a twist. So we're gently applying some pressure into the left hand, straightening the left arm, and taking our gaze towards the left hand side. Encouraging the left pelvis, the left hip to be grounded. On the next exhalation, coming back through center. And then applying pressure through the right hand, the right arm becomes straight, and taking the gaze towards the right hand side, maybe just a little behind you. Again, making sure the hips, the pelvis are grounded. Exhaling to get back to center. Slowly lowering the body down. I'm going to come into a first downward facing dog. So take your time. Hand placement similar to plank. Spread the fingers in elbows pointing in towards each other. And encouraging some movement to the body for this first downward dog. Maybe the first downward dog you've done for a while. Also, again, morning practice, soften the shoulders away from the ears. And if you know forward fold or the head being lower than the heart may exacerbate or bring on a hot flush, gently coming down to child's pose. Otherwise, pedaling the feet. From here, we're going to drop down towards the knees and bring the right foot forwards, back into our lunge, shoulders away from the ears. And then we'll step the left foot to meet or become parallel with the right. So you're back into our Uttanasana forward fold. And we're going to take a couple of breaths here, knowing again that you can come a little bit higher if you need to. Have a sense of the weight being even through the feet. And on the next inhalation, bending into knees, powering up through the feet, we'll reach up towards the sky. And breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. Moving on to the other side. Hopefully the body's feeling a little bit warmer now, a little bit more flexibility, space in the body. Resetting, finding a sense of balance, a sense of stillness. Maybe lifting the toes, spreading the toes. Placing them down and keeping that engagement through the soles of the feet. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, folding forwards. Making any modifications you know you need to. On the next inhalation, we're coming up into a flat back. And breathing out to fold forwards. From here, we're stepping the left foot back, dropping the left knee and taking a moment here to see or feel how much more of a stretch or space you want to create on the left-hand side. So maybe you tuck the left toes, take the left knee back a little bit further. Right knee over right ankle, breathing in to raise the arms. Softening the shoulders away from the ears. It can be very soft reaching up with bent elbows. Maybe it's a little stronger reaching through the fingertips. Is the neck's happy, taking the gaze towards the sky, sinking a little. On the next exhalation, folding forwards. We're going to come to lizard on this side. So heel toeing the right foot out towards the right side of the mat, bringing the hands through center. And again, making any modifications you need to, maybe bringing the floor to you with a couple of blocks or bricks. We're going to keep the right knee over the right ankle for this morning. And maybe if you have the flexibility, you take the hands a little further forwards, increasing the stretch in the right hip. And the inside of the right thigh, maybe even into the glutes a little. Breathing in to come back to center. Find your way to center. Bring the right foot back to center. And then taking your time to find plank. Your version of plank, maybe that's on knees, maybe that's on toes. Making sure the shoulders are safe. So middle finger pointing forwards, unless you know you're hypermobile, you can turn the hands inwards a little bit. Inner elbows pointing in towards each other, shoulders away from ears. Neck is in line with spine, so there's a line from the crown of the head to the heels, or the crown of the head to almost the knees, if you're on the knees. Feeling the strength. We know plank is wonderful for building strength in our bones, bone density. Feeling the strength and the power of plank. Dropping down to knees if you're not there already, chest and chin, and coming into Sphinx. Elbows under shoulders or a little further forwards to soften the back bend. Forearms are parallel, Hands, fingers spread, softening the shoulders away from the ears, chest coming through. And then we're coming into a twist. So this time straightening the right arm first, taking the gaze towards the right hand side. Maybe even a little further over the right shoulder if that feels okay for the neck. On the next exhalation, coming through center and straightening the left arm, taking the gaze towards the left hand side. Twist great for nurturing the spine, bringing flexibility to the spine and in turn nurturing our breath. Slowly coming back to center, lowering the body down, and then either coming into an extended child's pose or downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, make it yours. So maybe you bring more movement to the back of the body, the legs. Maybe you come into a static version of the pose. Hands are about shoulder width apart, shoulders away from ears. Feet are about hip distance apart. Sitting bones reaching up towards the sky. It's almost like we're pushing away with the mat through our hands. Belly's moving towards the thighs, towards the knees. Tuck the chin, relax the back of the neck, and breathe. From here, we're dropping down to the knees. We're going to step the left foot forwards, back into our lunge. And then we'll bring the right foot parallel or to meet the left into a forward fold. Soften the knees as much as you need to. Still lifting through the sitting bones up towards the sky. Bending into the knees, inhaling to power through the feet to reach up. And breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. Take any movement you need to, if there's anything that just needs a bit of a wobble or a wiggle. And then we're going to come into a forward fold, a wide-legged forward fold. So if you've got a surface like a table, work surface, kitchen counter, you can have the head resting. So it's going to be quite a gentle one. I'm going to use a chair. I've got 2 cork blocks actually. Sometimes I've got foam blocks, it's whatever I've got to hand. And I'm actually going to fold a blanket in half as well. So it's really quite gentle. Taking a moment to place the feet. So we want the feet to be reasonably wide, but we want to have a sense of control. So sometimes if we go too wide, then we know we don't feel quite as stable. So we're wanting to feel really strongly supported, really stable through this stance. Feet are parallel, toes can come in just a touch. So it's like the outside, the little toe edge of our feet are parallel rather than the inside. Quads must be switched on to keep the knees really safe here in a straight-legged forward fold. So once the legs become straight, think about engaging the quads. They do naturally engage, but there's a sense of the lift through the kneecaps and external rotation here. Hands on the hips, we'll breathe in, breathing out and folding forwards to whatever support you're coming to. It can even just be a mantelpiece. And then the arms can come to wherever feels most comfortable for you. So you could actually stack the arms and have the forehead resting on the arms if you're at a slightly lower height. Maybe if you're using a chair, the hands can come to a chair, or if you're working with a slightly higher surface mantelpiece, kitchen worktop, you can have the arms resting on the worktop, but finding the most comfortable position for your hands. Always the option to place them behind your back. And take a moment to adjust anything you need to. Have a sense that the weight distribution is even over through the feet, both feet. So if you have a tendency like me to rock into the big toe side, just gently finding balance there, maybe evening up the weight. Finding a sense of quietness in this shape, in this position. So with many forward folds, it's almost like a change of perspective. But a change of perspective this morning whilst being held, supported. And although you're being supported, ensuring the knees are safe, the quads are turned on. Softening the jaw, allowing the tongue to rest in the lower part of the mouth. Following the breath in, following the breath out, noticing the expansion of the rib cage in all directions. And on the next inhalation, slowly beginning to make a little bit of movement. Maybe that's very gently raising the head, moving the arms. Taking time to slowly come up, using your support in any way that feels helpful to coming up, to rising again, and gently heel-toeing the feet in. Bending in the knees to slowly come out of that position. And having a sense of keeping the quietness in the mind, quietness in the body. We're slowly going to make our way down towards the mat and come into crocodile. So the feet are extended, we're lying on our front and the forearms are stacked, fingertips to elbows, forehead resting on the forearms. So continuing with that idea of support for the head. It can sometimes feel quite nice to have the third eye, so the point between the eyebrows resting on a wrist. Encouraging the shoulders to move away from the ears. And the feet to extend behind you. So continuing with the idea of looking inwards and following the breath, following the expansion of the ribcage in all directions. Take the head almost down a level, so resting the head on the left arm or left hand and reaching behind you with the right hand to hold on to any point you can of the right foot. It feels a little bit tough to do, so you can hook a belt around the right ankle, drawing the right heel towards the right glute. It might be a very gentle action. Maybe if you feel you can't reach, you just draw the heel in towards the glute without the use of the hand. But finding a shape to encourage some more space at the front of the thigh. So again, the quads are huge muscles for us that do a lot of work. Sense of softening and releasing into the quads here. Gently releasing that side, allowing the right foot to come down towards the mat, and then changing sides. So the forehead's going to rest on the right arm or the right hand. And we're gently reaching back. If we can reach the left foot to encourage the left heel towards the glutes. Maybe you have a belt hooked around the ankle. Or maybe you're simply just encouraging the left heel towards the left glute. Finding the shape that works for you here. And on the next exhalation, gently releasing the left leg, restacking the hands, have come back into crocodile pose. And taking 3 breaths here. So crocodile encourages a diaphragmatic breath, so the muscle that supports our breathing just under the rib cage. Wonderful for the nervous system, for a sense of calming, soothing. And you're welcome to stay here for a few more breaths. Maybe you slowly move the head and tuck back into an extended child's pose. And if you have some support, you're able to reach for the head. Maybe that's a couple of blocks, some bricks or blanket, even a bolster. Finding a position, a shape that works for you. The knees can be together, they can be wide apart. But echoing crocodile, so echoing the idea of the support, the third eye, the center between our eyebrows. And very slowly on the next inhalation, making your way back up to sitting. And we're going to quietly come into a wide-legged forward fold. I'd encourage you at this point to put any layers on because we're really slowing down. Socks, jumpers. And I'm just going to set up some height, some support that I'm going to use for forward fold. And there's lots of different versions. So I'll set up this so you can see, and then you can make any arrangements that you want to make it higher or lower. Maybe use a chair. Definitely encouraging you to stay warm at this point as we're starting to cool down, starting to come into yin restorative shapes. I'm coming into quite a wide-legged forward fold. So my legs are wide, toes are still active, they're pointing up towards the sky to begin with here. And I'm pulling in my bolster or pillows, whatever I have to hand, in towards the belly. And as I forward fold, leading with the heart, so we're looking to find that length in the lower back. If I fold here, you can see straight away the back of the body kind of collapses. So coming forwards and then maybe taking hold of the support somewhere. The hands can come to the floor if that feels better. But as you can see, I now need a bit more height. So if you have a chair, you can maybe bring the forehead to a chair as well, or a stool. So making that setup work for you. I'm going to get a couple more blocks. And then the forehead can rest on the support, and maybe the forehead turns, the head turns to one side. So finding again the shape that works for you. And then maybe you're able just to allow the feet to go, to relax, to soften. So we're looking here for a little bit of length through the spine, but there's also a sense of releasing through the inner thighs, maybe even the back of the knees, through the hips. And if at any point you don't feel comfortable, doesn't feel supportive in any way, adjusting, coming out, changing position. Still encouraging the legs to have an external rotation. So they're not rolling in, they're rolling out. Feet can be relaxed. Still have active legs. So there's a sense of support while still being active, still working. Encouraging a softness in the shoulders are moving away from the ears. And if you do have your head on a support turned in one direction, gently changing the direction of the head. Noticing again in a forward fold, the breath moves more into the back of the body. So following the breath to the back of the lungs, noticing the expansion of the back of the rib cage. On the next inhalation, bringing the head to center and slowly, mindfully sweeping the hands back towards the body. Coming to our upright seated position, and maybe beginning to move into the blocks you were using. And then using the hands under the knees, if the legs are still straight, to draw the knees in and release that shape, that position. We're going to come to lying down slowly. So again, finding that warmth, making sure you have a blanket to hand. If you like a little bit more support, a little bit more softness around the body, maybe you have a spare blanket you can lie on, a cushion for underneath the head. And we're going to find our way into a bound angle, supine bound angle pose, where the feet come together, the knees fall out towards the sides. You're welcome to do this without any support, lying flat on the floor. Also feels really nice to have a little bit of height under the body. So again, using a very similar setup to we just had, but we'll be lying on our backs. If you're using cushions, pillows, whatever you have, you're bringing your lower back towards that support, bringing the feet together into Baddha Konasana, bound angle. And then gently taking your time to lie back on the support you have. And you may find once you're there, you need a little bit more support for the back, the head. You may just prefer to take this lying down rather than supported. So finding the best position that works for you. The feet can go or move away from you a little if that feels better. Feet can come right in towards the torso, towards the groin. And from here, maybe you have some support under the knees as well. So this is where we can get quite creative with blocks, cushions, pillows, and have some support under the knees. Finding whatever you can to support yourself, making sure the position you're in works for you, works for your body, supports you this morning. Hands can rest on the belly, or maybe the hands come down towards the sides of the body, palms facing up towards the sky. And knowing if at any point it doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't feel supportive, to come out, come to lying down, feet on the floor, knees bent, semi-supine position again, following the breath. And once you feel you've found your optimal shape, optimal position, reconnecting with the breath, following the breath in, following the breath out. And just notice if you're able to allow the body to soften a little bit more. Allow the body to be held. To allow yourself to be supported. Encouraging a softness across the face. And your tongue to rest in the lower part of the mouth. Slowly beginning to make some gentle movements. You're welcome to stay here for a little longer, or maybe you make your way into a final resting relaxation position. If you are planning to move, maybe using the hands under the knees to gently encourage the knees back together. Taking your time to roll over onto one side, move any props out the way, and then find your way into your version, your shape for Shavasana. Again, using any support that feels right for you this morning. Maybe that's some support under the knees. Making sure you're warm, you feel supported in the position you're in. Encouraging a softness in the shoulders, across the face. And again, encouraging a sense of support from your mat, from the earth. Sense of being held. The Sanskrit word punata means fullness, a sweet, overflowing experience of abundance. When we catch a glimpse of the beauty of life, when we feel for even a moment that we are somehow complete, that is punata. We feel this fullness when we are enveloped by love, buoyed by good fortune, or that sense of content towards the end of a yoga class. When we practice yoga, we can sometimes experience the fullness of punata. Taking that sense of fullness, of completeness, support and rest. into Shavasana for the next few minutes. Bringing your awareness back into the space you're in, reminding your mind, your body, where you are this morning. Gently waking the body with some deeper inhalations, longer exhalations, maybe even sighing your breath out. Beginning to take some gentle movements through fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Nurturing that sense of peacefulness, sense of quiet for a little longer through gentle movement, and taking your time to roll onto your preferred side this morning, the left or the right. And taking a few breaths curled up before slowly making your way up to a comfortable seated position. Finding length through the spine, softness in the shoulders, and hands resting wherever feels most comfortable for you at this point. We're going to visualize Chandra Bendala, moon breath. It's a cooling breath, quietening breath. And just simply visualize our inhalation coming through the left nostril and exhaling through the right. So a felt sense, breathing in through the left and breathing out through the right without the use of our hands this morning. So So maybe you notice the cool air as you imagine inhaling through the left nostril, and the warmer air as you exhale through the right. Inhaling through the left and exhaling through the right. Taking 2 more rounds like this. And then breathing in and out through both nostrils. And taking a moment to bring to mind or call to mind something that brings you joy, that helps you with your own self-care. Maybe that is your yoga practice. Maybe it's going for a walk or speaking to a friend. But something that nurtures you, that supports you. Maybe notice any feelings that arise as you bring that to mind. Maybe a soft smile to your face or a sense of warmth in the heart. Taking a moment to acknowledge that felt sense of self-care. And maybe setting an intention to ensure you take some time for self-care this next week, this first week of the new year. Taking a moment each day for some self-care to support you, to nurture you, to feel held. I'm going to bring my hands together at heart center, joining both halves of the body together, both hemispheres of the brain. Taking a moment to thank yourself for some self-care this morning through our yoga practice together. And take my hands up to my forehead to remind us to have kind thoughts, to my lips to remind us to have kind words, and back down to my heart center to remind us to have kind actions. Om Shanti.